Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Jennsheelen podcast. I am Jenn of Jennsheelen.com. Today is Tuesday, March 29th of 2016. If you are a newbie, welcome to the new listeners, and if you are a regular, welcome back. I can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram, all as Jennsheelen, 2 N's. On Jennsheelen on Ravelry as well. And I have a Ravelry group to chat about the podcast and all things fibery and lovely. So join me there and let's chit chat. All right, I'm going to jump right into spinning right round. So I have with me my lovely Ginny wheel. She is finally making her debut. Ginny wheel, right behind me, I apologize if she's a little dark, is an Ashford traditional. And she was built probably between the 60s and 70s based on looking it up and kind of the style, the spokes and everything. She is a standard wheel, and she had a single treadle. And now my hubby gave her a new pair of shoes, and she is a double treadle. And he went to the trouble to stain the shoes to match the original wheel color, which was awesome. So Ginny wheel has a great story. I love her story. Poor Ginny wheel was left on the side of the road to be thrown away. Let that sink in for a minute. Somebody was throwing a spinning wheel away. Right? So my father-in-law, he knows that I knit. He saw her and he's like, she likes to knit. Maybe she can use this. So he picked her up for me. And that is how Ginny wheel came to be mine. As for her name, she has a sticker on her, kind of on the inside, that says Genevieve Steinberger. I'm assuming that was the owner of the wheel. So in honor of the owner of the wheel, I have named her Ginny wheel. Ginny wheel and I have not taken a spin in quite some time. I am trying to get my spinspiration back, so I could use a little help, spinners and knitters. Help me get my spinspiration back. It's not like I don't have plenty of fibery yumminess to spin. I just need to giddy up and get back on that spinning wheel. Right, Ginny wheel? We'll go for a spin soon, honey. I'm sorry. So I can show you some lovely things that I have to spin and have spun. So, from Port Fiber, one of my favorite places to go for fiber. Man, Casey, your fiber rocks. I am spinning, this is just some natural yak and silk. A yak silk blend. It is like spinning a cloud. It is super, super soft and just comes out super, super fine. It is so pretty and shiny, as you can see. It's reflecting. So pretty. So all it needs is to be plied. And I've had this spun up for a while now. I won't say how long because I'll be a little embarrassed by how long this lovely fiber has sat on my bobbins. But I hope to ply that up soon once I get back in the swing of things. And something else I've made from my hand spun, also from Port Fiber, this is baby camel and silk. I can't even. Baby camel and silk, I think, is my favorite, one of my favorite fibers to spin, or that blend. It is just so yummy, and it's soft, but not so soft where it constantly slips out of my fingers. It's just, oh my goodness. Do you see it? Oh, do I have it backwards? I do. Look at the shawl. Look at how pretty that came out. Oh, so if you're a non-spinner, or even if you're a spinner and you haven't done this yet, you're probably wondering how I got that to stripe. This was my first Navajo ply, where you basically take one strand and do like a crochet chain and ply it into 3. So you can kind of control the colors and get it to stripe just like this. So worth it, and I was so nervous. I'm like, man, this was this beautiful baby camel and silk, and I don't want to ruin it. What if Navajo ply goes wrong? But I risked it, and it was absolutely worth it. So pretty, and the pattern is the Budding Shawlette, and that is by Joyce Yu. And I'm going to hopefully don't pronounce this wrong. It's of Yulon Knits. She has a store in Ravelry, and this is actually a free pattern, and it's absolutely worth it. It was a very easy pattern to read. I loved knitting it, and then I got this absolutely gorgeous shawl out of it in the end. So I'm pretty proud of this one. I have to say, it's probably one of the things I'm most proud of making, because I spun up the yarn for it and then I knit it up, and it just, I mean, come on. Hello. It's gorgeous. So, absolutely love this pattern. Up next, I have these lovely peacock color inspired Rolags from Siobhan Crafts. And Siobhan, you're probably going to laugh because you're going to remember how I had to message you to see if I was pronouncing your name right. I was pretty sure, but I had to double check. You never know. Wait, do you see them? I can't. She posted these on Instagram, and I instantly said, they have to be mine. I must own them. Look at that. Look at how pretty. I know it's a little hard to see with the way the lighting is, and I'll explain why in a minute. The lighting is the way it is. Look at these colors. They're just absolutely stunning. She hit the colors just so spot on. She actually included, excuse the crinkling a little, the peacock feather, or a peacock feather to go with it. I mean, look at how spot on that is. Just so pretty. And there's actually a little bit of sparkle up in this section here and in this section here. And I did the same things with these that I wound up doing for my shawl, is I spun them and then plied them so that they would stripe. And I wound up making one of my wolf scruffs out of it, because I had only bought a little bit of it to start. And then I knit it and then I gave it away. Angie, it went to a good home, but I needed more of it. I missed it, and I bought a lot more of it. I won't say how much, but I bought a lot of it. Maybe 3 of these bags worth. So I'm thinking I'm going to spin that up and make a pretty shawl out of it. Something, again, I'll do it so that it'll stripe, and then, I don't know the pattern. I don't know if I'll design around it. I don't know if I'm going to kind of search out there for one, but we'll see. I might check things out and see what's out there, and then maybe it'll inspire me to come up with one of my own, because why not? So those are the lovely Peacock Rolags. I highly recommend her stuff. She has a store on Etsy, and again, I'll link all this stuff to my show notes on my website so that you can find her and you can find Port Fiber. Both of them I highly recommend. I absolutely love them. And then up next, my co-host. I'm going to hope that he will behave. Let's give this a try. Hey, Doug, you want a cookie? Dougie, you want a cookie? Come here. Oh, come here. Oh, what a good boy. This is my co-host, Doug the dog. Excuse his crunching. I just woke him up for a little nap. Can you come here and sit? What a good boy. So this is our wonderful... Oh, you did the golden groan. Thank you, buddy. That weird sound, I hope it picked it up, that he just made is called a golden groan. It's almost like a golden retriever purr. It's not a growl, it's a purr. See? So we got Doug. He is now 4. We got him when he was about 4 months old, and he is a doll. He's a lovely teddy bear, but yet outside he's like a big old puppy. He's super, super sweet. And one of the things we love about him is he has a little birthmark on the side of his face. Hopefully he'll let me show it. Where is it, buddy? Right here. Hopefully it's showing on the camera. It looks like somebody took a Sharpie to his face, but it's actually a birthmark. And I say that that's the place that was marked for his mama to smooch. Right, buddy? So what do you think? What do you think of this podcast? Can you give me a high five? High five. High five for a cookie. You want it? High five. Come on. There we go. Good boy. He's being a little lazy. He's a little upset that I woke him up from his nap. He was quite comfortable out there. Right, buddy? Can you lay down? You can get another cookie if you do it. Yeah, you lay down. All the way. Good boy. Thank you guys for being patient with me while this is my first time trying to get Dougie on camera, so of course with dogs it's sometimes a little unpredictable. But he is my good boy. Right, buddy? You've done so good. You've done so good. Alright, so now that we've shown my co-host, who... Ooh, you all right there, buddy? So a lot of people have asked me to hear more about Doug. So I've actually started Doug's own thread in my Ravelry group. So if you want to see more of Doug and you want to hear more about Doug, especially when he's cooperating with his tricks, go check out Doug in my Ravelry group. Right, buddy? Let's get into what I'm working on now. Fun stuff. So I've shown this before. This is my Americana jar, and I have not launched the pattern yet, but it is this close. This close. Show you again how I use self-striping yarn here from the Cozy Knitter. It's self-striping sock yarn, and then the blue that she had with it in the colorway Patriot with little holes for stars. So when you put the tea light in, it glows through. Just a little recap on the pattern. So I worked with the Cozy Knitter on the colorway Patriot, and you don't need self-striping yarn for the pattern, but I recommend it. It was just easier to work this way, no weaving in ends or carrying or anything. Super easy pattern to knit, and it'll work great for any holiday. You've got 4th of July is what really, we have a 4th of July party, and that's actually what inspired me to knit the jar, because I plan on using it as a dream cozy. Why not? So, my hubby is going to take pictures of this, hopefully tonight or within the next few days, and then I can launch the pattern. I actually got a talking to from Amanda, the Yarn Enabler, in their podcast, Die Another Day, to get on it. Come on, post it. So I'm like, okay, I'm almost there, I swear. So check out their podcast too. They're a lot of fun. It's the Cozy Knitter and the Yarn Enabler. And you're probably going to get little blips of Doug. He's sitting off to the side. Next up, I have 2 new jars that I'm working on, and I mentioned these as well, that I was having a little bit of trouble with them. They were not behaving, but now, haha, I have thwarted them. I win. This is the first one, and this is called Dream Whisperer. And hopefully it's picking up enough on camera. I love this right here, the zigzaggy pathway here with these. It's just so pretty. And it was being super stubborn to try to work it to fit on the jar, but finally I got it to work, and I'm so happy with it. And it is, like I said, it is called Dream Whisperer. And right now I'm working on the larger jar. I'd really like to be able to do a large jar and a small jar for this one, to have a set. The other jar I've been working on is called, I love this, Pixie Petals. See how they're little flowers? I love them. With a little design zigzagging on the side to kind of break them up. And that is Pixie Petals. And the same with this one. I'd really like to come up with a larger jar too to work for it. Not quite sure it's going to work, but I am going to give it a try. This was another fussy pattern that was just, nope, not going to fit on the jar. Nope, now I'm too big. Nope, now I'm too small. And I'm like, I must have ripped these guys out 100 times. But I finally figured out a way to make it work. It was changing of needle sizes and adding a few stitches here and there to actually get it to work. But they finally worked. So the names. I should give a mention to my bestie, my cousin, and my muse, Colleen Sheelen of Whimsical Handicrafts. She is the one that comes up with most of the names for my patterns. She's got a gift for it. And, every time I come up with something, I'll drop her some pictures and say, what do you think? And I'll kind of give her a background on the pattern, and boom, she just starts cranking them out like crazy. So a thank you to Colleen, and check her out on Facebook of Whimsical Handicrafts, and again, I'll do a link in my show notes so that you can find her. And what I love is that she and I have 2 totally different styles of knitting. She uses a ginormous needle. I use tiny little itty-bitty needles. So come like holidays and birthdays, and when it comes to gift giving, it's fun, because we're gifting each other the kind of knitting that we don't usually make. So I give her, I think I've started a trend. I've started giving her my Victorian Yuletide ornaments for Christmas. And I think I've kind of started it where I need to do that every year now. She said she wants to set up a whole tree with all of my ornaments, which is a hell of a compliment. Thank you, girl. But I just got such a kick out of that. And I could picture the same thing. I should actually knit some of them for myself. I've done them for commission knitting and, to give away, but I rarely keep any for myself. So I hope to do the same thing, is to set them up and have one little tree or somewhere, to be able to do that and set up one whole tree with them. And probably in some sparkly yarn. Oh, The Stroll Glimmer, the natural Stroll Glimmer is perfect for that from Knit Picks. It just has these little bitty sparkles in them, and on the ornament and with the tree lights. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. So, hi buddy, are you back? So definitely, you could check that pattern out too. Not to keep plugging my own patterns. Yes, I am. So, alright, the next thing I'm working on. These are fun. So I pick up my neighbor's kids and I sit with them after school. There is a 10-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy. And Doug is checking out what I'm about to show, as you can see. So they each earn points with me every day for good behavior. And, you know, it was just, I don't know what inspired the idea, because they're so well behaved, but they keep asking for knit goods, and I'm like, well, you're going to have to, let's earn them. I give them some stuff, why not? But, you know, we started a trend where they earn them, and man, are those two competitive with earning points, and they're robbing me blind because they're so well behaved. So what happens is, once they earn 100 points, they get a knit toy from me. And that's one of the things I love to knit, is knit stuffed animals. So the little girl, the 10-year-old girl, asked for, I gotta remember all the details, a bear with a mustache, a cape that's stitched SB on it for Super Bear, and a top hat. Love the creativity. What do you think, buddy? Check it out. Look up and kisses. Good boy. This is Super Bear with his curly mustache. She actually watched me stitch that on and loved it. She was able to give her critique. And he is just missing his cape and his top hat, which are coming soon. As for the little boy, his creativity is awesome. He wanted, originally, a 10-foot snake, striped, random stripes, with pockets, a top hat, glasses, and a cane. That's a tall order, so I was like, alright, that sucker's going to be 200 points. And he's like, oh, that's okay. So finally, he's watching me knit it. He's like, you know what, Jen? Why don't you just make it as tall as you? And you don't have to do the pockets, and maybe not even the top hat. And I said, okay, then I'll drop you to 100 points. So I knit it to my 5'7" self, and we have, hopefully I can get the whole thing on camera, a very large, very long, very randomly striped snake. I love how the head came out. Let me see if I can find the name of the pattern. It is the Striped Snake by Sarah Ann Thompson, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry. The bear is the Polar Bear by Fuzzy Mitten. And both easy patterns to follow, and I actually use a lot of Fuzzy Mitten patterns for toys. I love her patterns. They're so clear, so easy to read. The construction's easy. She knits them, she writes the patterns to knit them flat, but I tend to just convert them to knit in the round, and that's very easy to do with her patterns. And very, very super easy, and they're all super cute. There is my little snake. Let's put him to the side so the puppy doesn't get him. He has yet to do that, though he's eyeballing this one now. All right, time to wet my whistle with the Beverage of Choice. I have with me, and I gotta definitely keep this one away from the dog. I actually held up the bottle before, and he decided to lick the top of it. This is the Poet from New Holland Brewery. They are out of Michigan, and this is an oatmeal stout. And it is very delicious. It's one of my favorites, definitely. I love New Holland. And cheers. Keeping an eye on the beer thief over here. All right. Now on to selfish knitting. Now I have a somewhat frustrating selfish knitting story. I'm like, all right, I've been designing and designing, and I haven't really been knitting anything for me. Now I include my sock blanket in that. That is selfish knitting. However, that's more sanity knitting. It's something I pick up when I have absolutely no brain power at the end of the day, or I'm really, really frustrated with something else that I'm working on or trying to design. So I'm like, all right, I spun up all this BFL, mixed BFL top for a sweater, and it's been sitting in my bin forever. So why not pull that out now that it's going to be spring, and that's the perfect time to knit a sweater because it's going to be warm. Oh, come on, knitters. How many of you are doing the exact same thing? I mean, we all get past Christmas, and we're all like, la la, working on little things, and all of a sudden we get our mojo back, and we're like, let's work on sweaters so that it's too warm to wear them. I'm not the only one, right? Anyway, back to the BFL. I started knitting this swatch, and I really wanted to work on this pattern called $5 in Paris. And it is by, oh, I'm never going to be able to pronounce her last name, but I will try. It's Anna Maliszewski, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's real simple, top-down raglan. It's got a lovely ribbed edging here. She actually knit it in short sleeves, also with a ribbed edging. I was going to go 3/4. Notice I say I was going to go 3/4 sleeves or possibly long sleeve, depending on kind of how it looked when I was knitting it out. I was going to make a game day decision. Well, I started working on my swatch, and it was looking awfully ginormous, and I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. If you stretch it just right, I get 5 stitches per inch, which I think is what it required. I'm good. Well, the BFL really likes to bloom. When I originally spun it and washed it, it definitely bloomed up on me. Apparently it had a little bit more to go, because it came out ginormous. What do you think of this, Dougie? It's ginormous. I know. So I'm getting now like 3 stitches per inch. I'm pretty sure I'm up into bulky. And I thought I was maybe into heavy worsted. I was wrong. So now I need to find another pattern that will work with this yarn, because I'm determined to knit with it. It would be my first hand-spun sweater. So I'm going to try again. If you have any ideas of what I can knit with a similar construction, top down, I really liked the rib. It was like a boat neck. Speaking of neck, ignore that. This is why I do not play poker. So a rib, kind of like a boat neck, not too wide, and then the same, obviously, for the sleeves, which any of that could be added or done, but I really liked that pattern, and it was kind of, not totally form-fitting, but a little bit. I really liked it, and now, could I do some math? Could I figure this out for myself? Yeah, but this is selfish knitting. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do math. I don't want to think. I want to be told what to do. It's enough when I'm designing to have to figure it out and do all the math. No. Selfish knitting means no thinking. The only thinking I gotta do is gauge swatch. What needle do I think I'm gonna need? Knit it up and measure it, and then I'm done. Just go for it. That's what I want. So I'm now on the hunt. Again, if you have any ideas, please let me know. And help me with my selfish knitting plea. It's going to be fun. Look at that. There's dark patches and light patches, and it's super soft, and it's so squishy and bouncy. It's going to be so cozy when it's warm. And by the time I finish it in the summer, I'll go somewhere air-conditioned. It's okay. I tried. All right, up next. If I can get my puppy, can you come over here, honey? Can I give you a cookie and you get out of the film? Over here. Lay down. What good boy. He's so good. He's trying. He really wants to be involved in what's going on here. So, again, this is my first time with Dougie. We're giving it a go. I really wanted to get him on film. Again, with all the requests to hear about Doug the dog, I'm like, I have to get on my podcast. Which reminds me, I never mentioned why my lighting was a little different and why my view is a little different. You're wondering why Ginny Wheel is so tall. I'm actually sitting on the floor so that I can have, I can put Doug on screen and show you Ginny Wheel. There really was no easy way to set all that up where I was actually still in a chair. So I'm taking one for the team, and I'm sitting on the floor, and it was really tricky to get my lighting to work. So I apologize if it's a little bit darker this time round. So, yes, good boy. You could probably still hear Dougie purring in the corner here. On to what I'm styling. So as you can see, I'm not wearing any knit goods, especially no knit goods to hide my very red, very blotchy neck. I chose to wear my Hug a Knitter, They Give You Warm Fuzzies t-shirt. One of these days, I'll be able to say that without laughing. What's sad is that I actually came up with the phrase, Hug a Knitter, They Give You Warm Fuzzies. And to this day, I must have said it 1,000 times, and it still makes me laugh. But that's just me. I'm a sucker for a good pun. So I'm wearing my V-neck version today, and I usually layer it up. You don't have to with this t-shirt. It is, I was really going for a good quality shirt and kind of trendy and a little sassy. You want a little V-neck and a little, woman's tee with a little shaping. Why not? So I went for it. I was like, I really want that good quality and that fun, super soft burnout style. I really, really like it, and it's super comfy to wear. So I went with that style, and you don't have to put something underneath it, but especially in the white, I usually layer it with a tank, because I'm a layer girl. It's how I roll. So I layered this one with a purple or a lavender tank to kind of represent my website with the lavender background. Hubby bought it for me. He'd be proud. He's like, you really need a tank top that matches your website to go with that shirt. So he got one for me. I love that he thinks that way. So you can see the shirts on my website. They're $35 each. And I also have knitting bags on there as well with the phrase on them, as well as my logo. So it was super fun to come up with the phrase, and again, I needed the little bit of a boost and a bit of a laugh today, so I was like, you know what, instead of knit goods, I'm going to throw on my t-shirt so I can giggle like a big goober on camera. Why not? Okay. Ooh, I'm getting to the end of my notes here. Wow, that went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. Okay. Oh, I get to show off now. This is the fun part. Now, I have to give a shout out to Boston Mama Knits of the Boston Mama Knits podcast. I literally, Lori, I was watching your podcast while I was getting ready to film mine. And you and I had both tried on the same, or filmed originally on the same day, and I scrapped that one of mine because I'm like, you know what, I wasn't feeling it. I really needed to film it again. And we're going to talk about the exact same thing. Actually, a couple of the same things, but primarily the project bag from Cindy, or Cozy Couch on Ravelry. I got one as well, and what a super, super sweet gift. Cindy, so sweet. I absolutely love this bag, and what a surprise. I was absolutely touched that you sent that to me, and I really, really appreciate it, and I'm actually using it now to carry around my jar designs in, so it is getting used, definitely. And here's the outside. Take a peek at that. And then here is a peek at the inside, and it is reversible. So usually it kind of sits upright like so. And then when you want to carry it, boop, you take the long tab, put it through the short tab, and ta-da, you have your handle. Love it. Super, super sweet. Thank you, Cindy. I love it. And too funny, Lori of Boston Mama Knits. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about the same thing. But they're two different bags. And now we're giving shout outs to each other's podcast. Thank you for that as well. Definitely check her out. It was so funny when I first saw her name, the Boston Mama Knits. I'm like, oh, I'm just south of Boston. And then I realized she's actually in Chicago, and the Boston came from her Boston Terrier, Snoopy. I believe it's a Boston Terrier. You might have to correct me on that, Lori. And I love seeing little blips of him in her podcast, how he's kind of wandering in the background. And he, like, all of a sudden he'll come in camera and then he disappears. I absolutely love that about the podcast. Plus she's fun, and she has a lot of good content, so I would definitely check her out. And now where'd we all meet? So Cindy and Lori and I all met in the Yarniacs podcast group. And the Yarniacs are Gail and Charlene. And I happened to, I think through one of my test knitters, I found them. I believe it was Holiday on Ravelry, and her name is Terry. That I think she had linked one of my patterns in the group, and I happened to check it out, and I'm like, oh, I'll check out their podcast. Oh my goodness, what a fun podcast, and what a fun group of ladies. I've absolutely loved interacting in that group. Thank you, ladies, for being so wonderful and so much fun. And I love that you can post in that group when you're having a bad day, when you're having a good day, and you'll get an outpouring of support. It's wonderful. So thank you, ladies, for that. And that actually brings me to another shout out to Erica, or Yuli's daughter. Yuli, let's see. Creations by Yuli is her business, and she is Mommy Knits on Ravelry. So I want to give a shout out, Yuli, to your daughter Erica. I absolutely love seeing your daily Erica photos. It's so much fun, and now I love that we have the blanket project going where everybody's sending you scraps to make a sock, for you to be able to make a sock blanket. I thought that was such a creative idea, so fun, and something we can all be involved in. So, hi Erica. I love seeing your photos every single day. You're adorable. So keep them up. All right, up last. Whew. Now that I've gotten through all that stuff, I have the finishing touch. The name of this episode is What's Up with the Name? So, what's up with the name Jennsheelen? Well, it's not all, look at me, I'm Jennsheelen. That's not what it's about. My husband, who I call Frank Sheelen, and you might wonder why I always say his last name, the man's always in trouble. And you know when you were growing up, when you get your if you got your full name from your mom, you knew you were in for it? Well, he's always he's in trouble in a fun way. Like, you know, he's always the one for an inappropriate comment here or there that's hilarious. So I always go, Frank Sheelen. So now I just use that all the time because 99% of the time he's like that and he's getting in trouble. So that's why I say Frank Sheelen. Anyway, tangent. We usually travel down to New Jersey and Pennsylvania for the holidays. And it's a good 5-6 hour drive depending on which state we're coming home from. And, you know, we're driving home and we've kicked around an idea for a business for me for a while. And he comes out with, you know, why don't you start designing? And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, you should be designing. You could totally do that. He's like, you should build you as the brand. He's like, you know, you could be like an Amy Herzog. And I'm like, what? I had to pause, you know, one, for the overwhelming amount of confidence my husband has in me, but two, I'm like, you know who that is? He actually does listen to my knitting talk, which I absolutely love. I'm like, and I love to say to him, I love when you talk knitting to me, baby. So, yes, I mean, he started it. I mean, he really was the one that inspired me and kicked me into gear and kind of gave me that boost that I needed. And really, I had never thought I could design, or not that I couldn't, but that I would, or that I would be interested in it. And now that I've started, I have a good 14 designs that are already launched, with 3 more on the way and plenty of other ideas. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and I can't seem to stop. I'm addicted to it. I love it. And I get such a kick out of it when people like my patterns or when they want to knit my pattern. I love it, and I'm absolutely touched by every single purchase that comes through. I'm like, thank you so much for that support. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you for that, knitters. I love it. You give me, I'm going to do it. I'm sorry, I got to do it. You give me warm fuzzies. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. I couldn't resist. I just kind of, poof, I had to take it. So anyway, thank you for that. I also want to make sure I thank all the right people here, and I wrote it down. I'm actually going to pick up my notes so I make sure I get everybody. I'm a really fortunate girl, not only for my husband, who's been amazing, but for all the people that have helped me get this far. And I met this woman, she's my editor, in, you know, a random Facebook group, and she's been a tremendous amount of help for me. Her name is Siobhan Jones, and she sprouts and knits on Ravelry. And Siobhan, without you, my patterns would not look like, they wouldn't be where they are today. You have given me such excellent instructions. My patterns are professionally laid out. They're really clear. I've gotten so many compliments on them, and that's due to you. You've helped me get to that point. And now when I go to read patterns, I look for all the stuff that you have me include in mine, and I note that they're missing, and I'm like, wow, before I would have never noticed that. And now I do, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Another shout out goes to a special test knitter in particular. She has knit at least 6 to 8 of my designs, and her name is Jessica, and she's Jessie840 on Ravelry. Jessica, oh my goodness, you are so much fun. I love interacting with you, and what's so funny too is I've only interacted with all these people in email or on Facebook or Instagram. I've never actually met or spoken to any of them. But you all have been such a help to me regardless, and I think that's just an amazing thing. So, Jessica, without your help with, you know, with the test knit, not only that, you're excellent with social media and posting it and tagging me and hashtagging it properly and giving your opinion. And, you know, I feel like you really come back with good feedback, whether you made some changes or altered it for your own person, you know, whatever you like. That's excellent, and a designer couldn't ask for more. So thank you for that. And I love that you're so enthusiastic to knit more of my patterns. I'm like, I love that. So thank you. And what I do too is I want to mention that on each and every one of my patterns, I do have a thank you section at the end of it to acknowledge everybody who's helped me with each and every one of those patterns. I mean, I hadn't started in the beginning, but I'll probably go back and edit them as I go to refresh some of my patterns. But it's to acknowledge that that pattern wouldn't be what it is without their help. It wasn't just me. that put that pattern together. It was everybody who helped me, my editor and Sigrid and Jessica, test knitters like you, and as well as Colleen, mentioning her with coming up with the names and bouncing off ideas with her. That's why I call her my muse. And then, of course, my husband, Frank Sheelen. I always thank him, on every single one of them, because he gets to hear me talk about them and gets to see the samples and gets to hear me talk of knitterly things every single day. So without his phenomenal patience, he's just phenomenally patient. I don't know how he does it, but he certainly helps me a lot, and he puts up with all my knitting and spinning and all of those things. But I hope I make up for it with my bubbles and sunshine and rainbows personality. Thank you. So that was how the Jennsheelen brand was started. Back to that, it was my husband, and really just kind of focusing, having me as the brand, and being able to go from there with it. I mean, I have a ton of ideas. More patterns on the way. The next ones are hopefully going to be some more Victorian Yuletide ornaments. The ornaments were super popular, and I have a ton of ideas for those, as well as more shirts, more bags, and other fun ideas, which I can't tell you about. It's torture. That are coming, which I'm really, really excited. So everything's kind of coming along into place. I'm trying to take it little baby steps to not put too much on me all at one time. The podcast actually started sooner than I thought it would. I really thought I wouldn't be able to get it going this quickly, but after those few tester videos, I'm like, kind of getting past this little stage fright thing. I'm kind of digging it. So why not keep going and show everybody that I'm totally fine and I'm not afraid of doing it at all. So I do. I actually really, really enjoy that. So really, stick around if you like it, and come see where I'm on to next, and kind of join me on this adventure. So I'm going to finish with, I was actually going to film this. I tried filming this on Easter, and I had this little guy that I was going to show off at the beginning of the podcast when I said what day it was, but that didn't go very well. But I still have to show him because he deserves a little mention. This is my little hand-spun fingering weight bunny named Boop. And I named him Boop because I can't help but boop, boop, boop. His little nose, I can't even stand it. He's such a little guy that he just fits in my hands like so. I love him. So yes, I was going to, for Easter, Bunny, hello, do that at the beginning, so I figured I would save him for the end and show him off to everybody. So hopefully you've stuck around and managed to make it to the end, or fast forwarded a little bit to make it to the end of the podcast. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me today, and I hope you join me again. Have a good one.